Hello, and welcome to the Fresh Air Show. What is up, guys? And welcome to 2020!
Hey!
It's a whole...
I didn't know you had perfect sight.
Well, that might be said, but alongside that, it's a whole new decade, the big double 20. So,
Happy new decade.
yep, in this case, indeed, happy new decade.
Also, I guess it's best to say anyone who's watching is probably almost 20 now because of 18 plus.
Yeah, you and Copa or Kappa, whatever it's pronounced.
I feel like we just needed to acknowledge that to start things off.
That malarkey.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, before we dive into the thing today, the new topics, just so people know what we're talking about, COPA, otherwise known as the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, and YouTube is being deeply affected by it. Because despite having its own spin-off exclusively for kids, the COPA is being put in place to make sure children are safe online. Now, I see that mimicky plushie, Dudley. Don't try to distract from the subject.
I'm sorry.
The viewers can't see that.
Now, protecting children's privacy online, on paper it sounds like the best option because children are vulnerable on the internet. But the thing is, there's no in-between when it comes to YouTube's new systems, because you can either choose to be kid-friendly and have no feedback, or you can choose to be not kid-friendly and be hugely censored, making you unavailable to quite a number of people.
Basically, anything you christen a kid's video, no one can comment on. So if you're looking for comments from your viewers, then you need to make your whole thing adult only, which is...
Well, who knows? In the future, this might be a good thing, but at least our videos are still up and still available in some way or another.
Yeah.
So, enough about politics. How have you guys been since the last podcast?
I'm alright.
It's been good. Had Christmas, had New Year's, so...
Yeah.
The start of a new year, here we go. What excitement awaits.
Yeah. It's crazy to think what can happen in 10 years. Now, from knowledge, these were the movies that were out this point last year. Coraline. Pixar's Up. The Princess and the Frog. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, and even more.
Wow.
So amazing.
Yep.
So, Christmas and New Year has come and gone. So, how's it been for you two?
It's alright. Went to England to visit some of my stepdad's relatives. Spent the whole time there.
Yeah. So, anything interesting happen?
Beyond Christmas and my birthday on New Year's Eve, not much.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants to know, did the cow gravy carrier make it?
I don't think we brought the cow gravy carrier.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
It was spared this year.
Yeah.
So, Christmas on my side of things, in my family, the kids have gotten to that age where it's just perfect time for Christmas, and I managed to give out quite a lot of good gifts. Like, I gave my nephew, Charlie, you'll remember he's the Thomas the Tank Engine fan.
Uh-huh.
I managed to get him a wooden steam engine whistle. So yeah, that was played with on Christmas Day. I distinctly remember hearing that, but that's how you know it's a good toy.
His parents are going to resent you for life.
Well, anyway, his parents, aka my older half brother and his girlfriend, I got them a personalized book of their two dogs, which you can make yourself if you look up Petlandia. So yeah. So
we had obviously the 3 weeks prior to Christmas. It doesn't feel like I got a break from work. It was just non-stop. And then when it finally got to Christmas, I had 3 days off.
Jeez.
And luckily they didn't go too quickly, so it was enjoyable in the end. So it was all good.
So yeah, I can sort of see that because my job where I work, my hours are sort of optional, so I can choose when to have off time, and so I managed to get the whole week of Christmas off. So yeah, yay me. So, in terms of presents, did you get anything interesting?
Are you talking to me or Dudley?
Well, both of you.
I guess I'll go first. I have a snitch from Harry Potter that is like a little helicopter thing, and then if you charge it, it floats around the room.
Cool.
I haven't actually used it yet, but I got that from my brother. And the best present I got was the big green screen I've got, which basically is bigger than my last green screen, but it can go up against the wall and also is long enough to reach the floor as well. So I'm actually able to stick my whole body in it and everything, which is awesome. And it's got stands, so if I want to stick it outside, then I'm going to be having some fun with that, I think. So, yeah.
Good for you.
You know, something funny that was brought up when I got my first green screen. I'm looking at it now in the corner there. It's it can be folded up, so it's like the size of a hula hoop, but when it's fully outstretched, it can sort of take up the wall. And I remember that I got it like 2 Christmases ago, and I remember later that day I also got this large freestanding present from my parents or something, and I was like, ooh, what's this? And so from it, I opened it up. It was a cardboard box. I reached in, pulled it out. Is this? And I thought, is this a telescope? And they were like, no, it's to help stand up your green screen. And in my mind I realized, isn't there meant to be 2 of these? Because it's like it's got like these little pegs on it to hold up the green screen. They didn't realize that you needed 2 of them to hold it up. So, so yeah, that was.
Did you end up getting another one in the end?
Not yet, but I'm still holding out for one.
What about you, Rowan?
I got a few good presents. From Dan, I actually got a Legend of Zelda style notebook. Thanks for that, and a little nightlight as well.
Yeah,
Yes,
I wanted
cute.
to. Yeah.
Little Triforce nightlight.
I wanted
I
to
also
try
got
and get you something that you'd use every day. So.
We should get a picture. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I'll send one in after the podcast. I got a new watch. It's nice. Silver with a mother of pearl face.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. I also got some jewelry for my mum. Proper diamonds. Earrings and a
Ooh.
necklace.
Nice.
My mum has expensive taste.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yep.
In terms of what I actually got this year, I managed to get my hands on this. I got this book from the people of Pixar on creativity, so that's pretty interesting.
Cool.
I'm looking at it now. It's got a picture of Buzz Lightyear as a conductor silhouetted against a red background. So yeah, that'll be interesting. Inspiration from the people of Pixar themselves.
Wow.
What about you, Dudley? Did you get anything interesting?
Beyond the green screen, I mean, that was probably the best present. I got, what was it? I've got it now. There is something else. I think it was mostly like, I got biscuits and chocolates and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got something else.
Plenty.
I've got something else in there which is escaping my memory, but like, I've said everything else basically. So.
Right, if you remember later, just pipe it up and Dan can edit it into this section.
Well, I can quickly peek in there. It'll take me 5 seconds if you want.
Alright.
Time me. Go.
Waiting. What does he got?
Ooh.
He's looking off camera.
It's a mini Pac-Man arcade machine that you can put on your desk.
Ooh. I was looking for one of them just for the fun of it.
Cool.
You're listening to The Fresh Air Show. So, yeah, we can't talk about Christmas without talking about New Year. So, was that good for you guys?
It was my birthday.
Yeah. I often try to make sure to mention your birthday first before mentioning New Year because I hear that your birthday kind of gets a bit overshadowed.
Yeah, from time to time. But this was a really good one this year. Had a big old party.
Cool.
Nice.
I had I think I mentioned this in one of the other Christmas podcasts we've did, but I used to have a friend in primary school whose birthday was on Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what's it like being on the New Year's Eve sort of area for your birthday?
That's like asking you what it's like to have your birthday on your day. You can't quite describe it. For me, it's a birthday, but also another thing going on. It's just New Year's Eve is such a big thing that, like I said, my birthday kind of gets overshadowed from time to time. Like, my family will always try to show me first, but then it leads into New Year, and you know how it goes.
Yeah, I see. As for me, because it was leading into a new decade, we didn't really have much planned. It was just a night in, inviting my aunt and uncle and my gran, and because it was the end of a decade, I wanted to try to end it off in style.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you might have seen a few videos on YouTube how people are watching movies simultaneously. Like they start it at like 9 o'clock, and something will happen in the movie just as the clock chimes for Happy New Year.
Uh-huh.
I tried doing the same thing myself. A particular scene in Avengers Endgame, let's just say, and I started it at like 9:30, and I was really close, but if I hadn't paused it frequently enough, I would have been 10 seconds off, but instead I was just 2 seconds off. But hey, I came pretty close.
Yeah. I have seen the video, and it was very close. But it was it?
So what about you, Dudley? Did you do anything?
Well, usually on New Year's Eve, I don't actually find myself doing a whole lot. Like, I went to town to do Pokemon Go for an hour, and then after that I thought, I'll get some takeaway food. So I went to Domino's, it was shut. I went to McDonald's, it was shut. So then I drove to the opposite side of my house, because I'm in the middle of nowhere in a towns 15 minutes either side of me. So I go from one town to the other, they go to another McDonald's, which is usually 24 hours, and that was shut. So basically, my New Year's Eve was spent driving to places that were shut, which was a bit more exciting than most nights I have on a New Year's Eve. So.
Well, yeah. Well, the trouble is, starting from December 24th up until January the 2nd, stores are going to be pretty much shut. So people need to buy what they need over the holidays while they still can, because you never know if someone's going to burn the turkey. Not that that's ever happened, but I'm sure there are some people out there who've experienced their own version of A Christmas Story. So, so yeah, I'm not sure what else to add to this segment unless you two can think of something random.
Well,
yeah, I got nothing.
Eddie, did you see many fireworks? I think I saw one and heard more than I saw.
The trouble is, due to me currently being a dog owner, we don't go out for firework displays because Oscar is not the biggest fan of them, as I brought up. Now, you can say, oh, you can always just turn up the volume on your TV. Just keep them inside. And
have you ever heard the sound of a firework?
Yeah, we do that. It just doesn't work. It's like
it's a literal explosion.
Yeah, you can't help it if a firework sounds like a lead pipe crashing right next to him. So, and yeah, I know some people are going to be complaining, like, oh, your dog's just anxious. Well, guess what? Someday they're going to introduce silent fireworks or ban them altogether. So, at the very least, display fireworks will be just on video somewhere. So, yeah, I'm rambling. So,
I think if fireworks were silent, it would kind of lose that factor, you know?
Well, I think... well, the trouble is, I had trouble getting used to fireworks as a kid because, as a child, I was sensitive to loud noise, and naturally, I think if you introduce silent fireworks, I think a lot more people would see them.
Bring in some silent fireworks, but add some of those holographic animals from the circus that we were talking about. Make this grand display in front of it or something. Trademark Fresh Airstream.
Wait, you know what? I have seen videos on Facebook, but I've seen in Japan, instead of fireworks, they used like a ton of drones to with display lights attached to them, so they form like all sorts of amazing formations. Like you've got like a running man, you've got like this different multicolored shapes, and that's what I expect to see in the future.
Yes. Less fireworks, more parades, things like that. We have hardly any parades where we are. Sadly.
I know this isn't Halloween, but the most recent parade I attended was at Halloween this year. But the trouble is, when you do something big in a small town, everyone expects to be doing it, and so because I didn't actually record much on Halloween this year because the streets were just crowded. Like every 10 seconds or so we had to stop just to allow everyone to make their way to the square, which was just a 1 minute drive away from where we were starting. So yeah, you just need to take into consideration these things. Like, it's like, I tell you what, it's like those people who go to like those parties at New Year. Like you see them on TV. Like You don't need to go. You don't need to go there. You can just spend it with your family and just spectate it for yourself. You know.
Yep.
Again, I'm rambling. So, yeah.
Let's title this episode Dan Rambles the Whole Way Through.
Yeah. It's been a while. I've been needing to do something else besides play Pokemon Sword and Shield. So.
Oh, yeah. How was that, by the way?
Yeah. I don't know what the fans were complaining about. It's pretty amazing. You've all seen the Pokédex, so out of this generation, what would you say is your favourite Pokemon?
I'd have to see it again because it's been a while since I put Sword and Shield on, but I rather like the Sandstorm Snake, but the Python one.
Sandaconda?
That's it. The reason I forget its name is because I nicknamed it Sand Genie, like Nagini from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So I always want to call it Sand Genie, and it's not.
Yeah.
I like that.
But that was a very good one in the game for me.
So, what about you, Ryan?
Since I don't play Pokemon much, I don't have like a full grasp of how many of the full roster, but I have to say, it's a toss-up between fan favorite Wooloo and the new Surfetched.
Yep.
There's just something really funny about this tiny bird with a giant leek for a sword, like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because its original form, Farfetch'd, has been around since Gen 1. So, and to give this forgotten Pokemon some new attention, it's pretty cool.
It is regarded as one of the weaklings in the Pokemon games. So to get a Surfetched, you have to have it beat 3 Pokemon in one battle to evolve into Surfetched, which is interesting.
Well, that might be how it goes. As for me, I think my personal favourite from the new games is probably Copperajah.
Paparaja or Caparaja?
Copperajah.
Copperajah. It's basically a huge blue elephant.
Yeah, it's literally a porcelain elephant, but it's the size of an actual elephant, and it's just majestic. So,
something you definitely don't want to be heavy slammed by, which is a move from the game's bottom.
Or Dynamaxed.
Oh
God!
Have you seen Copperajah Gigantamaxed? It's literally just this giant block of steel, and it's just walking on 2 legs with a giant trunk that can take out a skyscraper. Like,
I haven't seen that yet.
I'm looking at it, and it looks like the Thwomp from Mario. A wee bit, except it has a long nose.
Yeah, pretty much.
A long curly nose. Stubby little arms.
My personal experience, I did really enjoy Sword and Shield, and I'm eager to play more of it. But saying it's better than Sun and Moon is quite a stretch for me. It's a very new style of playing compared to the typical gameplay of a Pokemon game.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Yeah, I'm only at my 6th gym badge currently, so I'm not sure how the rest of the story goes, but will it top Sun and Moon with its main villain, Lucamine? Because she was one crazy and scary villain in my mind.
Let's just say it's debatable whether there's a villain in it or not.
Interesting.
Oh?
Next topic.
It's funny because I have no idea what either of you are talking about, so I'm like, what?
You are listening to the Fresh Air Show.
Well, let's start off this new decade with the month's most ridiculous headlines. Okay. That was half an intro, but I'll accept it. Okay. In this month's news, a man has created a Godzilla Christmas tree that breathes smoke.
Well,
And I thought Douglas fir was a scary idea.
wow.
This takes it to a whole new level. Someone's literally made like a topiary, I think, in the shape of Godzilla, and it's got like glowing eyes. It's got like a Santa hat on it, and it's literally breathing smoke.
I want one.
Let's just hope this guy lives alone, because if he's got kids around, then he's gonna scar them for life.
Or they'll be the best Christmas they've ever had. You never know.
Oh, but you don't know about its extra setting. Where you press a button and it goes, I love you, you love
Oh,
me.
God. I don't know if that's scarier or not.
I love you.
Okay.
The Barney song in G minor thing.
Alright.
I love those videos.
Okay, here's the next headline. A police horse refuses to start his shift until he gets a cup of warm tea.
Please tell me this is in England. Please.
Yeah, you can't get any more British than that. Even the horses need a cup of tea to start work.
I can't start work until I have my tea, for goodness sake.
Hey, it's a well-known fact that horses like sugar cubes. I guess there's no reason to go on to...
You're not wrong.
So...
You're not wrong.
That's fair.
Maybe that's how it got started. Like, we don't have any sugar cubes on us. Douglas, do you have any sugar in your tea? Yeah? Okay, give me that. Here you go.
I'll have to do.
Here you go, Thunder. Dig in. Nom 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 nom.
Thunder, old boy.
So yeah.
Was that seahorse or tea horse?
Oh.
Yep. First Dudley joke of the year. So, I'm actually looking at it now. His name's actually Jake, not Thunder, but still.
Oh, that's less interesting, but where?
Yeah, I was.
Here you go, Jake, old boy.
Yeah. Wow. Just what other animals on the police force are drinking tea? Like maybe the police dogs, sniffer dogs, need a good cup of Joe. Okay, here's the next one. A husband goes to the groomers and comes home with the wrong dog.
Huh.
How long did he realize until he figured it was the wrong dog?
I want to make a meme from Cats and Dogs where the person's going, they've changed the colour and the breed and everything.
Yeah, like from the start where the actual professional dogs are in place, but they don't choose any of them.
Well, it starts with a bunch of beagles and they'll get replaced with Dobermans, and the person's like, they've really changed in size. It's like, but like you come out, you go to the. I take it was the same breed of dog, or was it the?
I hope so.
Yeah, because if it was something completely different, like, honey, I brought back the cat, that's a dog.
Honey, we don't own a cat.
Well, wait a minute. We don't own a cat, but what about the parakeet? When did we get a parakeet? Wah, wah.
We don't have one of those either.
And it's just a duck. So, good grief.
No, the pets are dead. The butler's been discharged. If you get that reference, but
I don't. I'll probably look into it. Ah, jeez. And now this the last headline that I have, which I think is the most ridiculous one of the bunch.
Is it the most ridiculous headline out of all the ridiculous headlines?
Not quite. It's the most ridiculous headline out of this bunch that I have for today. So here it is.
One ridiculous headline to rule them all.
Yeah.
I went there.
A teenager has been arrested after buying a PlayStation 4 for £8 by weighing it in the fruit section.
But he had to be served first.
No, Dudley, imagine you're in a grocery store. You know, like those little scales that the how much you have determines what price you have. Like, oh,
do I know? That's my job.
So apparently, a bunch of apples for this weighs 5 apples normally weighs about 250 or something. So he just literally got a PlayStation 4, used one of those scales, and think, oh, this is worth £8 in weight. So
I've been doing grocery shopping wrong.
now
I'm gonna get so much stuff.
That's ridiculous, but the thing is, you'd still have to go to the till to pay for it first, which means a member of staff let him do it as well.
Well, the thing
Someone
is,
probably was just like, you know what? I like this kid. It's a crime, but I like this kid's moxie.
well, if you were doing that in Tesco's, I don't think you could get away with it because, I think if you were going for the self-service checkout, that also requires you to weigh up your items, but ultimately you need to scan them first and then put them on that metal plate that counts
now,
up.
don't you have a sticker that you put for fruit? If you just took the sticker and put it over the PlayStation 4 sticker.
Yeah, but we shouldn't be
we're becoming a crime syndicate.
We shouldn't be encouraging this. we just got finished.
Welcome to the dark side.
We just got finished talking about COPA and how we should be protecting children's privacy online. We shouldn't be encouraging this type of behavior.
Yes, but we're sticking it to corporation. That's a millennial thing now. Or Generation Z thing. I'm not sure. I'll have to look it up.
Oh, this is getting too meta. Jeez. So, that kid's, I don't. He's an evil genius. I'm just thinking of General Grievous, thinking ah yes, the negotiator.
So the person behind him goes, "You are a bold one."
Yeah.
I think, seeing as we're on the subject of grocery stores, I'm not going to name the one I work at because I shouldn't really name it. It's
classified information, isn't it?
But there's a load of them around the country, and our store number is 666.
Oh
Makes
dear.
you wonder.
Yeah, boy. 666, the mark of the beast.
Yes.
We need to insert the jingle before something bad happens. I'm Randy Newman, and you're listening to the Fresh Air Show. I'm Randy Newman. Well, obviously this year's gonna be bringing in another slate of new movies, but before we dive into them, let's talk about the last two movies that everyone talks about from 2019. Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, I sounded excited in the last podcast. I'm not as excited now.
Ouch. So,
oh dear.
You're one of those fans that is conflicted about it?
Not as conflicted as knowing that I didn't like it. Well, here's, put it this way: if it had a couple of extra scenes or a bit more exposition, then it would have been great. but because they didn't answer certain questions, that's where it fell. Fell flat.
Yeah. I personally enjoyed it, but I can understand why everyone's upset, because for those of you who don't routinely watch the recent Star Wars movies, the trilogy goes like this. You've got The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. Now, originally, J.J. Abrams was the producer of The Force Awakens, and it was a good start. It was a good world builder. But a slight few fans out there were like, oh, this is too familiar. Let's have something entirely different. And so they got rid of J.J. Abrams and brought in some other guy I can't remember the name of to make The Last Jedi.
Rian Johnson.
Yeah.
Supposedly he'd started filming Last Jedi before Force Awakens was finished as well.
And look what happened. We could have explored Rey and Kylo Ren's relationship, but that didn't happen. We could have dived into the backstory of Supreme Leader Snoke, but they had to kill him off in that movie before we even knew any backstory about him. And it was just full of odd choices, and naturally, because Supreme Leader Snoke is dead, they had to replace him with Emperor Palpatine for Rise of Skywalker, because there was practically no one left to fight. And
they had their chance to fill in Snoke's backstory in this film as well.
J.J. Abrams was rehired to make Rise of Skywalker, and it was over before it even begun. That's unfair, because J.J. Abrams had a good start, but because some fans were like, this is too familiar, let's have something entirely different. Okay, let's have the story go in a bunch of different places. Like, okay, this is different, but it's too different. And
you brought this on yourselves.
This film turned into a hodgepodge. And the talk was, if you liked Last Jedi, you won't like this film. And if you didn't like Last Jedi, you'd like this. Now, I wouldn't say I fall into that category, but having seen Rise of Skywalker, I could see myself liking a bit more about Last Jedi now, since I've seen it. But it's just... Well... But it was better than Solo.
Yeah, that is true. As for me, with the modern day Star Wars trilogy, personally, going all the way through, I thought it was alright. But yet again, I'm easily impressed, so maybe that won't sway a lot of you. However, onto another movie that's got people conflicted, Frozen 2. Now, as a major fan of the original Frozen, so much so that I regard it as my favourite current Disney movie, what do I think of this sequel? Well,
do tell.
I haven't seen it, just to point that out.
Alright. As for me, as a sequel to one of my favourite animated Disney films, I thought it was alright. Because
I think that's the problem. It was just alright.
Because I think if this movie was entirely focused on Elsa and discovering her family line, I think it might have been something unique. But because they have to bring in Anna, Kristoff, Sven, and Olaf because they were major characters, and to suddenly have them not be there wouldn't make a lot of sense. And because the story is entirely Elsa driven, Anna's some of the other characters aren't as developed as they were in the original. Like, for instance, Anna's just there to be supportive, and she doesn't want to be doesn't want her and her sister to grow distant again. And as Olaf, I think he's tolerable, but again, that might not speak much for a lot of people. But I think the biggest complaint I have is definitely what they did with Kristoff, because his whole story arc is he wants to propose to Anna, and that's it. You don't need to know anything else about it.
He wants to propose to Anna, but every time he does, he goes for it, he gets interrupted by something. That's not something that's been before, sarcasm.
Yeah, but aside from that, I still enjoyed it because because a lot of people are saying it's not the original, but I'm just in it for the experience. And as for the songs, not only do you have two Elsa solo performances. The first of them being Into the Unknown, which you've probably heard on YouTube already.
Yeah, I have.
And
pretty damn good.
Yep. And the second one is Show Yourself, when Elsa finally discovers the truth. And, whew boy, when you actually see it, wow.
Wow in a good way, or?
Good way.
Oh, good.
In, some of the other songs are kind of fun. Depends on how you look at it. Olaf has a new song, simply called When I'm Older, because they're dealing with supernatural forces, and he's like, this is fine. And as for Kristoff, yes, he has a weak story, but he actually has quite a funny song halfway through the movie, where he's basically lamenting over his situation, and it's in like the style of like 80s to 90s boy band love songs, and it's I thought it was hilarious.
I have heard about that song. It's supposed to be funny.
That's good.
So yeah, I won't spoil it here, but depending on how you take things, you'll be in for a surprise. Let's just say that.
I'll just say I'll give my opinion now, but like I didn't find the first Frozen to be that amazing personally. Like I did like I know, right? And I love Disney. Don't get me wrong. Like the Let It Go song was amazing. I wouldn't say amazing, but it was really good. I liked it. But Frozen was no Zootopia or Wreck-It Ralph for me. Those two are the great ones, not Frozen in my eyes. But like,
fair enough.
Yeah, each to your own opinion. The thing is, I think Zootopia has basically become the backbone of what I illustrate, because Zootopia is the same place where Fresh Powder's signature design, current design, stems from. And the style of the characters in the movie not wearing shoes is sort of translated into what I do, because the characters I draw don't wear shoes, because, simply put it, they don't need them.
Yeah.
Well, I will see Frozen 2. So when I finally do, I'll see what I thought. I might even like it better than the first one. I guess I'll have to see. But, like,
you know, bringing up Elsa again. Yeah, Let It Go. It was quite a phenomenon.
Yeah. I liked the song, I just didn't like how everyone was singing it all the time.
Well, you know, they actually make a joke about this in Frozen 2, because there's one scene after the song Show Yourself, Elsa's like seeing like all of her memories in like this one room, and she turns her shoulder and she sees herself singing Let It Go, like, here I stand, and she's like, oh jeez, I did that. So yeah, that got a few chuckles out of the audience. So yeah, I'm easily impressed, which might not sway a lot of you, but hey, everyone's up to their own opinion, so whether you like these two movies or not, yay. So yeah, a lot of movies to be excited for this year, and we will eventually dive into them, but we keep running out of time for these because there's just so much to talk about. So, anything you want to bring up before we bring this podcast to a close?
Oh.
Happy New Year!
Yep. Happy New Year and happy birthday,
Happy
Rowan.
new one.
So yeah, let's hope this new decade is a prominent one. So, yep, we'll see you guys next time for a brand new season of podcasts. So, see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye! Let us know how Cats was.
I don't want to find out the answer to that. So, until next time,
I've
guys.
seen a lot of reviews. It's not great.
Alright. So, see you next time, guys. Bye!
See ya!
You've been listening to The Fresh Air Show. Leave a comment down below or email Fresh Powder. See you next month for a whole new slew of content. I'm talking really fast right now because it's what they do at the end of the radio shows.